Welcome back, MTG Joe here, and today we're going to be playing some more Historic with the new cards from Kaladesh Remastered. What we have today is a Jeskai, so blue, white, red, Gearhulk control deck, Chandra control deck, basically it's a couple of my favorite cards from the set in a control shell. So it's a base blue-white control deck with red elements for removal. It's mainboarded to deal more with creature-based matchups, which we're seeing a lot of, and then has the option to sideboard into more of a counterspell-based control deck post-board. So to walk you through, we're playing basically to play Torrential Gearhulk, which is one of my favorite cards of all time. It's a 6-mana flash 5/6 when it enters the battlefield. You can choose an instant card in your graveyard and cast that spell for free, basically. You exile it instead. So it lets you reuse your counter spells, your removal spells, so kind of get some value there. Worst case, it's a flash 5/6 that I just beat down with. And then the other card I wanted to build around was Chandra in more of a control shell. Chandra gives you card advantage, ramp, removal, and a win con, all tucked into a beautiful 4-mana planeswalker. And then kind of just running through the rest of the deck. We have one Authority of the Console's main, one side. I found this card fairly effective against a lot of the haste threats in the format. It's pretty good at shutting down Muxus's combo turn, where they can't just kill you out of nowhere. And then it gives you another chance to just get that extra turn you need for the Wrath of God. Against Gruul, Mono Red, anything with haste, it gets them tapped. It also gains you life. It basically nullifies the Cat Oven dying. Because you don't, you lose the life, but you also gain a life, so you pretty much end out even. So we have one on the side as well. 3 Abrade's main as our 2-mana removal spell. Went with Abrade over like Dragonfire or some of the other removal in this spot, because of the fact that there's so many artifacts going around with Kaladesh. This can hit like a Bomat Courier to an Aetherworks Marvel to any of the like the colorless deck, all any other artifact ramps. So I've really liked Abrade here. It's also a target you can get back afterwards. It hits like Oven with the Gearhulk. One Smashing is just a utility land. We're also playing into Miria's Call as our 2 dual-face mythic lands. Disallows a new counterspell from Kaladesh. It's probably one of the more premier, in my opinion, 3-mana counters. You can counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. So Ulamog, they cast Ulamog. Well, counter that trigger. They activate Marvel, counter that trigger. They ultimate a Planeswalker, counter that trigger. So a lot of little utility there. A couple Narsets just as utility. I'm going with a heavy removal spell, like board sweep. So 3 Clarions, 4 Wrath of Gods, 1 Settle. The Clarions actually works really nice with Gearhulk because you can also gain the life. So I've had games where you gain like 5 life, wipe their board. 1 Cast Out, just as pretty flexible. Early game you could cycle it, just catch all removal. Like I said, 1 Settle. There's here we have the Hieroglyphic Illumination. This is both something we could cycle earlier if we need to. So it's basically opt early, but late game could draw 2. And then it's also something you can hit with Gearhulk, and it's easy to put into your graveyard. I originally had 3 Chandras, but I cut down 1 to go with a Narset. I wanted more ways for life gain main. It also differentiates our threats. Narset adds a pretty quick ultimate as well, so just kind of more ways to differentiate our threats. A couple Conquer's Death, 3 Teferis, 1 Commit. So Commit, you can bounce anything on the stack or when it's on play. And then the Aftermath part refills your hand. If you have Narset out, you get to draw 7. They only get to draw 1. And then finally, like the Gearhulks, like I mentioned. Mana base-wise, pretty straightforward. Shocks duels. We have 1 White Castle, 1 Blue Castle, and a couple irrigated farmlands, just as some more cycling lands. Sideboard-wise, another consoles. Fragmentize is pretty useful here. So it hits any artifact or enchantment 4 CMC or less. Gets rid of pretty much everything that we'd think would be problematic. The notable thing is it doesn't hit Forsaken Monument, but we have the Abrades. 1 mana is useful. It could also hit the Molten Vortex, which a lot of the mono-red decks bring against control. I'm playing 3 Cages, no Rest in Peace. Cage shuts off pretty much everything I'm concerned with. We're not seeing God Pharaoh gift decks. If we do, then I'll bring in the Rest in Peace. But this lets me not worry about my graveyard getting exiled, so I can play stuff like Conquer's Death. Cage does turn off Gearhulk, that's the only thing. Some Gusts. Vetoes, Disputes, another Clarion, and another Shark for the more control matchups. So I'm 6-3, I think, with this deck. I should have been 7-2, but I timed out a match where I lost. I had 0 seconds on the clock. They had 2 seconds left. And I was ahead, but I got added to Fairy Ultimate, and it took too long to resolve the triggers. So let's play some games. Hey, John, how's it going? I saw some brief tournament results on your part, but how'd you like this configuration? Hey, Quantum? Got my Super Canadian Tim Hortons. Keep. Alrighty, so here, let's just go Foundry Pass. This is probably the Rakdos. Automod doesn't like Tim Hortons. So this is likely Rakdos. The Aura's deck doesn't play Fabled Passage. Okay, they got Supplier. So I don't care too much about this Supplier right now, so let's just set a self. Yeah, I caught a bit of your stream earlier today. So I could go Authorities of the Consuls, which is good against like their little stuff. Because I'm going to go Chandra next turn. Honestly, I'm just going to get Teferi. We're just going to bury him in card advantage here. I guess I could have gone Authorities of the Consul and then this Deafening Clarion. If that's their whole turn, just kill Narset. I'm fine with that. I think here... let's just clear the board. They get the mill. So I guess it's bad if they get Croxa here. Which they do. But I guess then I'll discard the land and then I can just tuck the Croxa if they have a red source. That'll get some cards of their graveyard. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have done that. Just gone Chandra plus. Oh, they go Arcanist. Oh, I guess this is to go Thoughtseize here on me. That's fine. We're going to be left with one of these either way. Teferi's my guess is what they take. Probably rather have the castle in play. Because this turn will just be Croxa, most likely. We'll bin the Trinome, or bin the Hallowed Fountain, keep the Trinome because we can cycle it. I wanted to keep the Clarion, like it's good here. Okay, so they're going to take that. They're being really cautious here. Let's see if we can get like Wrath of God or something. Yeah. So this deck's not really going to play cheap stuff. So I could preemptively get this Conqueror's Death going. just want to dig for Wrath the God here. Four Wraths, one Settle, one more Clarion. Nothing for Gearhulk to hit right now. They will be able to escape another Kroxa. We might just be dead though. That's an interesting line. They're like overcommitting to the board here. This will tax them next turn. I guess a Village Rites them refills their hand. Yeah, I probably should have gone Authorities of the Console that previous turn. We would have been gaining life off all these instances. Had these come into play tapped. Yeah, I'm dead. We needed a Wrath that turn. Even then, they would have been able to Kroxa escape. Okay, so Clarion, Cages, another Console, Aether Gusts. Probably trim on that. They'll probably get rid of, like, we're probably gonna have to win through Shark Typhoons. Conqueror's Death could come out. Just doesn't hit really anything in this deck. Probably also get rid of the Nar sets. They're pretty narrow. This could gain us life, but it's probably the worst. Cast Out can hit Kroxa, but it's pretty narrow as well. And trim on one of these. Commit at least can shuffle their library, and if they discard it, it gives us something to hit. Their deck's probably really effective against our control deck, because now they get their S. So we probably wanted, like, ideally we would have picked up game one, where they have, like, their Fatal Pushes and stuff like that in the deck. They also seem to not see any of their removal on all their creatures, which is a little annoying. Because that deck usually plays Spark Harvest, they'll play some numbers of, like, Fatal Push. Into double Authority of the Consoles. I think we just do this for now. Yeah, I'm not playing Rest in Peace. I'm playing Cage over that. I know they have a Braid for it, but I wanted to keep my graveyard intact. Okay, Illuminations is nice. Gives me a play for next turn, potentially. Refill my hand. We do need to try to find some sort of action. Okay. One Bedevil down's nice. I think they only play one Bedevil in the 75. They'll take Teferi here. Surprised they took Illuminations there. They might have another Thoughtseize. So we need a land. Need a land. They might have village rights here if they're holding priority. Perfect. Reset their board here. They could have village rights. Like, I doubt they'd keep in Fatal Push against us. Maybe it's worth keeping Narset in just because it shuts off village rights. But they would just do it on their turn. They still have to draw a card. Got through 2 Spark Harvests. Line to Fairy would be nice. Yeah, you usually only see 1 out of them. Oh, come on. How do you have 3 Thoughtseizes? Three Thoughtseizes in like your first 21, but in your hand they milled over a bunch of cards. Untap land, let's go. I will say these authorities have been doing a great job. We likely pretty close to, okay, Braid flipped over. I had one against them before and it was pretty sick. I would definitely play more against goblins. Okay, I'll take a backup gauge. Second copy just against the first Abray to be decent. Another village rights. That was a good last draw. Okay, another Bedevil in the yard. Yeah, if Teferi 3 was in here, it'd be a little disgusting.
Let's skip to the good part.
Okay, Miria's Call. I think we just clear their board here, play out a second cage. And then just play the land. Because we shut them off from haste. I love playing stacks.
You know what?
Yeah. We got Settle as like another option here, just in case they get a little ambitious, but we're in a good spot. The opponent got us game 1. They've also triple thought seized us this game. They're digging. They need double a braid here. And even then... There's too much graveyard hate in the format. Pyromancer's a decent deck in best of 1, I think. But as soon as you bring in cages... Alright. You got 1 down. Aether Gust is decent here as well. Thoughtseize is probably a fine enough card. Going out in style. They had the Abrade. Same plan. Do I want Narsets as some sort of card advantage? Maybe more than Settle. Probably just run it like this. I doubt we're realistically going to be able to counter. Thoughtseize, like when you have decks like Neostorm or like the kind of all-in combo decks, I think it's important to have answers. Oh, no turn 1 Thoughtseize is nice. We'll hold up the option for Braid next turn. What do you want, opponent? My hand's pretty loaded. This not being an untapped line's a little awkward, but otherwise, no complaints. Okay, they go to Fairy. It gives them the information, but it preserves my life total for at least a turn. I think we take the one. I feel like in Pioneer the decks are probably a little bit quicker, plus there's some better control decks. Just pass the turn here. Yeah, you have Swift Spear, you have a couple other like good aggressive decks. Here I think we just go to turn here. They're not pressuring us enough yet. So I'd rather keep up the removal. End step, I'm just going to Shark Typhoon if they don't play out to the board. Okay, Lurrus to hand. So Lurrus in hand, they can get back Pyromancer, which I really don't care about. Let's attack here. see what they hit. So they got Arcanist. They can go... Like, they know I have the Clarion, so they're not really inclined to play this Luris out. Next turn I could shock in and start upticking on Chandra. If they try to Kroxa here. They're really digging for that Kroxa. I'd love some card draw. Just to be mana efficient here, because then this lets me uptick. Okay, so we got the second one here. Do I want to cast a Braid? I'll decline. So no attack this turn. Actually, we can attack. Let's just hold back here. Because they can Luris, give it haste, which is something. They've used 5 more minutes of clock as well against us. I don't think clock will really matter in this game. Smashing's decent here. I can target a couple things. Because they're going to be able to escape this a few times, so I'm going to Aether Gust it at least once. We need to dig for Cage. So I can minus, deal 4 to it, and then sweep their board. And then have Aether Gust left. I can Aether Gust it. I think we try to find Cage. I don't want to mill it. So they're gonna Kroxa me twice. If they have a land, they also get that. Because I can uptick Chandra, get the mana, do smashing here. They're going to be able to haste it, though. We really need Cage. %7 chance at Cage. We have exactly enough mana for Cage and Shattering. So I can hard cast Typhoon here. So we'll see if they play it right. I think they have lethal if they just... This just gives haste, no trample. If they play Luris out, they can haste back the Arcanist. They could have lethal that way. It's been a good game. Yeah, they have lethal. They just need to see it. Because then I have to discard the smashings. Oh, they just have the Abrade? Yeah. Oh, that's not lethal. Okay, they're giving me an out. They had lethal if they just gave it haste. Come on, give me a card. That's a card. We're still just dead to the Croxa trigger, which doesn't help. They just need to escape here. They have tons of cards. This one's frustrating because the opponent didn't play too tight. I'm going to add one in now. We haven't faced off against too many like Rest in Peace decks, and Cage hits more things. But I think it's probably worth having it. Especially in this matchup because we take out Conquer's Death. So cut a Cage. Yeah, I guess we're probably seeing enough of it. Probably just cut another... I'm honestly just preferring 4 vetoes. The matchups I want veto, I want 4. Ah, that one was a tad annoying. Hey John, do you mind linking me your latest colorless build? I'll give it a shot after this game. Well, hopefully they're on a creature deck. Okay, I'll pop it open. me freezing, the opponent. Chat, are things still coming through clear on your end? I just got a bit of a lag on mine. I just want to make sure it's not me that disconnected. Cool, cool. Thank you. After I fire it up, I'll probably get you to walk me through some lines. Hope of Gearhulk. So this is probably Kethis combo. Or just something completely different. No, it's Kethis. Spire of Industry fixes their mana. Sacrifice. Yeah. So I'm glad we put in Rest in Peace. Ha, joke's on you, opponent. I didn't have a non-creature spell. I had it in the original Sublime Epiphany, but it was really slow in most matchups. I think if you play that, you want to be Simic or Bant, just to play Growth Spirals to get ahead. Okay, that's fine. We go Clarion here. Like a red source, ideally. This could be Kethis, Tashar. How about no, opponent? The rest of the game is just how about... Oh, they hit the arrow. That was a perfectly timed top deck. Just want to kill this so that way it doesn't prevent me from playing Conquer's Death. Because if they just spend their whole turn escaping here. Oh, it was more just this here. Like, I'm fine with them drawing Uro. It does give them a couple extra card draws. Or any other creature they play. If we draw land, I can uptick here for the mana for Conquer's Death and then hold up Commit as well. Then that's left Hope and Luris. So I'm actually going to probably... just go ahead and do this now, because I want to be able to Torrential Gearhulk next turn. Okay, that's how we're going to win, so we're going to hold off on that. Because then next turn, if I have this in there for the Torrential Gearhulk... So we do need a board wipe here, ideally. Well, that's something. I think we do this on upkeep. You okay, Abby? My dog's like yipping. Okay, so that is notable. I didn't realize they could. I should have done it then. Yeah, it's crazy the weather over here. Okay, they're out of cards in the graveyard, so let's just Chandra.
Yep, you're flammable. It's my turn. Yep, you're going down.
But I wanted that. I'm in Toronto, so we're about an hour and a half from the New York border to like Niagara Falls. Let's just close this thing out. No, it's pretty bad. I got it, like I couldn't even take the dog out because it was storming so hard. Okay, so they only have one legendary there. Yeah. Getting game 1 against them is pretty big. So in their deck, I don't think we care about Fragmentize. Rest in Peace for sure. Grafdigger's Cage. The Aether Gust hit some stuff. Do they? Aether Gust is probably 2 Fringe. Like, they're more white-based. They're self-mill. Fragmentize could hit some of the artifacts, but they could get them back. Probably like the other Clarion here. Narset, or that can hit some stuff. They're not really attacking, so we can take out Settle. Memory's fine. It shuffles their library. Probably just taking out the Gearhulks. I'm gonna take out Gearhulk. I want Typhoon just as a way to like attack in, as like another win con. This is a way that we can cycle, but probably just like this. Well, Gearhulk can't draw cards with Cage or with Rest in Peace. Actually, we don't want Authority of the Consoles, so I'd rather play that. I usually trim down my Gearhulks if I'm bringing in the full. Okay. Sansa Keep. I sometimes keep it in just in matchups where a 5-6 can beat down, but they're more combo oriented, so I feel like it's not the best. If we can dodge Thoughtseize for the first 2 turns, we're in a good spot. Okay, they got Excavator. Okay, and Vraska's down. These lists probably play 1 to 2 Vraskas, I'd imagine now. Okay, they're milling me. We'll Clarion next turn. Get rid of the mill side. Okay, you sold me on rest in peace. That also takes them off. Looks like they missed a line drop. Okay, another excavator. So we're going to hire Glyphics, try to find a board wipe here. Interesting they didn't attack with this. So they hit one Wrath of God, and that is a top deck. I guess we should have technically played around Spell Pierce. Kind of want to keep both of these, but I don't want to shock. I think smashings... Now let's just do this. Let's go the Hardcast Typhoon into Hardcast Typhoon. GG.